Good afternoon. My name is Eric Ahlstrom, and I'll be doing the introduction to the next presentation on tribal resilience through climate literacy. It will be presented by Zoe Roberts. Zoe grew up in the heart of the Appalachia, an area riddled with environmental degradation. This is what sparked Zoe's passion for environmental protection and stewardship. Zoe holds an undergraduate degree in interdisciplinary studies from Reinhardt University with concentrations in English, history, and religion, along with 2 minors in mathematics and international studies. Her Appalachian roots inspire her to obtain an MS in environmental policy and management with a concentration on energy and sustainability from the University of Denver, which she completed in June of 2021. So welcome, Zoe.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that introduction. Like he said, my name is Zoe. I currently work as the environmental specialist for the Upper Snake River Tribes Foundation. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today about USERT's work on climate literacy. So I'll start off by just talking about our membership. We work with 4 Native American tribes in Idaho, Oregon, and Nevada. The 4 tribes are the Shoshone-Paiute tribe of the Duck Valley Reservation, the Shoshone-Bannock tribe, the Fort McDermott Paiute and Shoshone tribe, as well as the Burns Paiute tribe. And just a brief overview, USERT was formed in 1998 by USERT member tribes. We're a 501c3 nonprofit as of 2007, and our mission is to work to ensure the protection, enhancement, and restoration of cultural resources, activities, and rights of the compacting tribes. USERT works on several climate change projects. The 5 listed here are our most recent and impactful programs, but the program I'll focus on today is the climate-based community outreach and education, since we're focusing on climate literacy. And before I dive too deep into that, I just want to briefly talk about why climate-based projects are important to USERT. As you can see here, the cultural impacts, water impacts, sagebrush steppe impacts, and economic impacts are just a few of the far-reaching impacts that climate change has on our 4 tribes. And so it became very clear in 2012 and 13 that climate-based programs were going to be our focus from that point on, and for the most part, they have. So our climate change community outreach and education program had a clear goal. We wanted to reach a new audience. We wanted to extend beyond the technical staff at our 4 member tribes, hoping to connect with the youth, families, and regular members. This includes teachers and community members, as you can see in these pictures. The purpose was to create a program that could make complex climate issues easily understandable to a wide audience. So many of the tribal members care about the future of the reservation and want to understand how they can protect it, but they may not have the educational tools or resources to fully understand the climate change's impact on their cultural and natural resources. So in response to that, we created videos, resilience projects, and a youth K-12 climate lessons that focused on how a changing climate is affecting tribal cultural resources and what they can do to sustain those resources or adapt should those resources become non-sustainable under new climate scenarios. And today I'll focus on the videos that we created as well as the youth K-12 climate lessons. So coming from a technical background, one of the greatest challenges facing tribal resource managers is engaging tribal leaders and members in climate-related science and adaptation efforts. Another issue is translating that information into relatable examples for them. We're particularly excited about our climate curriculum program for those reasons. In this project, USERT developed education and outreach materials using adult and youth learning techniques and conducting engagement workshops for tribal youth and educators. In 2019, we held a workshop at our office in Boise, Idaho, for USERT tribal educational staff to help them develop a lesson plan for climate-based education curriculums that are hands-on lessons to be used in class or in after-school programs. In January 2020, USERT's Climate Change Resilience Youth Curriculum became available and began implementation in after-school programs of our member tribes. The curriculum introduced students to the topics of climate change through classroom dialogue, as well as hands-on activities. Students got to learn how climate change impacts the plants, animals, and lands in which they live. Before COVID, the Burns Paiute tribe and the Shoshone Paiute tribe were close to full implementation of the program. Unfortunately, as many of us have faced, COVID made it difficult to complete the implementation since classes were no longer held in person and most of the curriculum was designed for hands-on, tangible learning. However, in March 2021, USERT's Youth and Family Programs Assistant Manager was able to open up the lessons virtually via Zoom to all of our 4 member tribes. To get students involved, USERT advertised on social media, sent flyers to the tribal organizations, and by word of mouth. Additionally, all students who completed all 7 lessons received a stipend of $50. If they didn't complete all the lessons, they did receive $5 per lesson. And we had a total of 8 students receive the full $50 and 5 students who have not completed all of the lessons but attend when they are able to. And we do see this as a success because these kids were taking time out of their day during a pandemic when they were already having other schoolwork to do online to learn about the future of their reservation regarding climate change. So we definitely saw that as a success. And an example of what was taught in these lessons is that lesson 1 focused on the topics of water, temperature, fire, plants, animals, and humans, and how we all are connected, and had the objectives of recognizing 4 major habitats of the Upper Snake region. The lesson ended with a primary activity of a climate resilience Go Fish card game and a journal reflection at the end of the class. And the implementation strategies of this education program were resilience action service learning projects, implementing it in climate resilience after school youth programs, the production of resilience videos that could be used in class or in presentations such as this one, in-home family resilience projects, and ending it all with an intertribal youth tour, which of course we couldn't do because of COVID. And moving on to our climate resilience videos, we hope to use these videos as a way to connect with the tribes as a whole, rather than just with those members who have a technical understanding or their technical staff. We wanted to go beyond that. So we visited each tribe with a subcontracted videographer and interviewed tribal members, filmed different locations, and were lucky enough to capture some drone footage. And the objectives of this was to provide each tribe with a video resource that could be used to help them reach their own unique communication goals and target audiences, promote climate adaptation planning efforts and investments, and lastly, tell stories of climate adaptation and resilience building actions that each of the tribes is taking. So I'll just show a couple of those videos. I know we're a little short on time, so
certainly the climate has changed, not just locally, regionally, but worldwide.
The youth, the younger generation, need to start thinking about that. It's up to them.
You hear a lot about the youth not understanding our language, not speaking it, not being interested, but what are we doing as a community, as adults, to try to bring that, to tie that generational gap that we've created? One of the biggest teachings that my grandfolks used to tell us was, wherever you go on this earth, it's the same earth. I think really to help prepare me when I went out, going into different places that I wasn't familiar with, I had a better understanding of being respectful to the land, to the animals, to the plants. The natural resources has a significance to our cultures. That's the biggest thing, really. Droughts seem longer. It seems to be getting hotter. No replenishment with water, so a lot of our foods are drying out. We've had more wildfires recently. It's destroyed a lot of areas that pushed away the certain types of animals and plants, for sure. You don't see those birds no more. You don't hear those birds. So the sights and sounds of nature itself has certainly changed quite a bit around here.
Our river's not running anymore. There's no place to go fishing. Kids used to fish all the time. We used to always go down there. Now it's that has a lot to do with the changes and, you know, not being out there outdoors to do the things that we did when we were kids.
Growing up on the reservation, fishing, hunting, hiking, camping, gathering wood, just going out and gathering foods and different things. Coming back, there's really no place to go back to, seemed like to me.
We are supposed to be the caretakers of this land. You know, what can we do to adapt to these changes?
When I got involved in the Upper Snake River Tribes as a tribal chairman, what we were trying to do as far as preserving the fishing culture here and what we could do locally, that really opened my eyes to the outdoors here in the Fort McDermott Reservation. I believe it's important to honor our outdoors, whether it's through storytelling, music, or being out in the outdoors itself.
It feels good to be on our land. We're representing our tribe and our people.
Take care of the land. The land's the only one that helps us. The land gives us food, and it looks beautiful when it's taken care of.
I'll just go on to our next one.
Because of the climate change and what have you, things have changed a lot. And that concerns us as Indian people because we see it, we live it. So things have changed in that respect. Anymore, it seems like the winters that we get, it's not even really a winter. We may get 4, 5, 6 inches of snow that might hang around for a month, and once it's gone, that's pretty much winter.
So I guess as I was growing up, the people, my parents and others, always emphasized the 4 seasons because they watched for signs from the animals. Because, you know, in our religion, all animals spoke. Everything spoke, rocks, everything. They also spoke Shoshone or whatever language. And so now I see that they are so mixed up that, you know, they can no longer tell us, now is the time to go fishing, now is the time to go dig roots. They can't do that anymore. They're not able to.
There's a creek up here we call Fawn Creek that used to have quite a number of beaver dams in there. And because the beaver were damming up and the roads would get submerged or get washed out as a result, they cleared out that whole Fawn Creek area from beaver. They trapped out all the beaver. We used to go up there and catch trout, but after the beaver were gone, not long after that, the fish were no longer there either.
Here in our reservation, due to the climate change, last snowpack and also the early spring runoff, and we need to secure some good water for the dry season during the summertime. So when beaver builds a dam high up in the mountain and slow down the water, and then provide some more cool water to the tributary, and then the East Fork of Ojai River, that could be beneficial for all ecosystem.
The water through the beaver pond is very clean and cool.
Everything has a reason for being, and we as the Indian people are a part of creation. We're not above the rest of creation. The Creator didn't put anything on this earth that does not have a purpose. Everything has a purpose for being. You know, as Indian people, we're always taught to take a resource, but only take what you need, and make sure you leave enough there so it'll always be there.
Okay, and I'm only just gonna play the first couple minutes of this.
Life is a circle. We take the plants, we eat the plants, we eat the wildlife, all of those things. And the things that are out there in nature are the things that our body is absorbing.
By changing the temperature, we're going to change the water. The fish needs a certain temperature to grow in, and the snow's going to come off, and we're going to get more into a drought.
The river used to be running constantly all year. The cattails and tules and things that used to grow along the river are diminished quite a bit.
We need to get involved in what's going on in the community as far as climate change. A few of us here are working on it, but a lot of them don't see a need for the climate to get too involved, because let the other people worry about it. We'll just take the back seat. But I think to protect our community and our way of life, we need to be involved. We were growing up, we had to chop water, haul wood, and go hunt and fish for what we had to live on. And so, yeah, we need to me, strengthen our new generation and our old generation and get on the same route.
Say when, Charlotte. Say when. Okay. Go.
Okay, and so the biggest takeaways from these videos that we wanted was, one, it really shows in a very visual way the diversity of issues going on with climate change, even with 4 tribes in pretty much this, a very similar region. They're all experiencing climate change in their own unique way. And so that's why we wanted a video, each tribe to have their own video so that they can express it in their own way, as well as showing the diversity of resilience actions that they came up with themselves, such as releasing the beavers, which are so cute when they swim, or in this video, bringing Chinook salmon back to a tributary that hadn't had salmon since 1919, and being able to participate in a cultural activity of fishing. And so that's the first takeaway. And the second takeaway is that we wanted these videos to be able to reach a wide audience, be used in classrooms, like I said, in a presentation like this, in the tribes and the reservations, outside the reservations. And what I really love about these is that in decades to come, when we are still going to be experiencing climate change issues at that point, in decades to come, these the new elders of these reservations can look back on these videos and say, this is what my great-great-grandparents were experiencing in 2019, and be able to use it also as in a historical context as well. And then before I close out, I always like to just talk about difficulties that we face in doing these projects. Capacity can always be an issue because our 4-member tribes are small and mostly rural. And establishing and maintaining engagement with community, youth, and tribal leaders can be difficult as well, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of our elders and tribal people really love to communicate in person, and that's very valuable. And so not being able to do that has been a challenge. And of course, with our climate curriculum, trying to take something with lots of hands-on fun activities for kids online was sad and a challenge for us as well. Limited funding can be a challenge for most organizations, which leads us to focus on keystone species or habitats or minimize our project goals. And the project area size, like I said, we have 4 tribes in 3 states, 2 different EPA regions, over 64,000 acres covered, very different climates, different atmospheres, different environments that we're dealing with in each project. So that can be a challenge as well. And then I'd be happy to take any questions or comments. And if you think of anything after, feel free to email me or reach out to me later. And you can also look on our website. We have more videos beyond the ones I just showed you.
Thank you so much, Zoe. That was a great presentation, and we appreciate you sharing those videos with us as well.